Oldham Football Club and Oldham F.C. redirect here. For the Towns Association Football Club, see Oldham Athletic A.F.C. Oldham Roughyeds RLFC are a semi-professional rugby league club in Oldham, Greater Manchester, England, who play in the Championship. Oldham are one of the original 22 rugby clubs that formed the Northern Rugby Football Union in 1895. Formed in 1876 as Oldham Football Club, the club was known as Oldham Bears from the 1996 season until liquidation in 1997, before reforming as the Roughyeds. They played from 1889 to 1997 at Watershedings. They have won the Championship 4 times and the Challenge Cup 3 times. The team's traditional strip consists of red and white hoop jerseys, navy blue shorts and red socks. They play home games at White Bank Stadium in Limeside. In 2016, Roughyeds will be playing the home games at Bowerfold in Stalybridge. Roughyeds is a nickname for a person from Oldham, derived from the rough felt used in the hatting industry which once employed many people. Local rivals include Huddersfield Giants, Rochdale Hornets, Halifax, Salford Red Devils and Swinton Lions. History. Early years. In 1876, Oldham Football Club was founded in a meeting at the Prince Albert Hotel, Union Street West, attended by Chairman of the Watch Committee, William Chadwick, Chief Constable Charles Hodgkinson, Mill owner Fred Weil, eminent local Quaker and Lord-to-be Alfred Emmott, and 3 brothers of the Fletcher family. A playing field was organized at Sugar Meadow, Gartside Street adjacent to Glodwick's spinning mill, and changing facilities were provided by the nearby Shakespeare Inn. The club's headquarters were at the Black Swan Hotel, Bottom-off-Moor, Mumps. The first match at Sugar Meadow was held on the 21st of October 1876 against Stalybridge. After 2 seasons they joined Oldham Cricket Club at the new Clarksfield ground before finding a more permanent home in 1889 at Watershedings. Oldham were one of the 21 clubs that left the Rugby Football Union to form the Northern Union in 1895. Oldham were 4th in the first title race of 1895–96 and 2nd a year later. They were the 2nd club to win the Challenge Cup after beating Hunslet 19–9 in 1899. Batley had won the first 2 finals. Oldham finally won the first championship title in 1904–05, just edging out Bradford Northern by 3 points. Oldham won the Lancashire League in 1897–98, 1901 and 1907–08, as well as the Lancashire Cup in 1906–07. In the 1907–08 season, Oldham finished as league leaders, but Hunslet were crowned champions in the historic All-4 Cup season after winning the championship final, 12–2, in a replay after an initial 7–7 draw. Another title success followed in 1909–10 as they beat Wigan in the championship final. Also in that same season they managed to win the Lancashire League and Lancashire Cup. The following season, 1910–11, they beat Wigan again in the championship final. Oldham's record attendance was set in 1912 when the visit of Huddersfield for a league match drew 28,000 spectators. Oldham won the Lancashire League in 1921–22 and the Lancashire Cup in 1912–13, 1918–19 and 1923–24. The annual Law Cup was first contested against neighbours Rochdale Hornets on the 7th of May 1921. Having lost in the 1907, 1912 and 1924 Challenge Cup finals, they finally won the trophy again in 1925 when they beat Hull Kingston Rovers 16-3 at Headingley, Leeds. They beat the visiting Australasian team of the 1921-22 Kangaroo Tour of Great Britain 15-5. The club's last Challenge Cup final was in 1927 when they beat Swinton 26-7 at Central Park, Wigan. The fourth consecutive final and revenge for the 9-3 defeat when the same teams met in the previous year's match. In 1932-33, Oldham won the Lancashire Cup again. Post-war, in the 1950s, Oldham won the championship and other trophies with a side that included Alan Davies, John Etty, goalkicker Bernard Ganley, Jack Keith, Sid Little, Frank Pitchford, Derek Rocky Turner, Don Vines and Charlie Winslade. On Monday, the 15th of September 1952, record receipts were taken from a gate of 19,370 at Watershedings to watch Oldham take on the Kangaroo tourists. The Australians lost only one of 22 club matches in Britain during the tour, but came close to defeat at Oldham, where the Roughyeds held them to a 7-7 draw. Oldham played in the 1954-55 Championship final at Main Road, Manchester against Warrington. Oldham's success in the 1950s also included a championship title in 1956-57, the Lancashire League 1956-57 and 1957-58 and the Lancashire Cup 1955-56, 1956-57 and 1957-58. Oldham lost 16-13 to Wigan in the 1966 Lancashire Cup final. In 1964, Oldham reached the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup against Hull Kingston Rovers. The tie is remembered for taking 3 games to find the winner. The first match at Headingley finished 5-5. The replay at Station Road, Swinton finished prematurely 17-14 in Oldham's favour when the game was abandoned midway through the second half due to bad light, and the third game was won by Hull Kingston Rovers 12-2 at Fartown, Huddersfield. Oldham were Division 2 champions in 1963-64, at the end of a disastrous 1969-70 season when Oldham finished 29th out of 30 clubs in a single division. The committee was voted out of office en bloc and replaced by 9 new officials and a new chairman in Arthur Walker. They brought in Graham Starkey as player coach. Dave Cox coached Oldham for 18 months until December 1978. In the 1983-84 season, Oldham lost just 2 of their opening 11 Division 1 fixtures but collapsed around Christmas. After 4 defeats in 5 games, January's home game against Leeds descended into a mass brawl before the referee abandoned the match. Both clubs were fined £1,000 and coach Peter Smetus decided to quit. The club committee asked his assistant, Frank Barrow, to step into the breach. His first game was against Rock Bottom Whitehaven, winless after 22 matches, but the Cumbrians ran in 7 tries, handing Oldham a 42-8 mauling and prompting Barrow to resign minutes after the game. He was replaced on a temporary basis by Brian Gartland. Oldham pleaded with the local council for a financial bailout in April 1987. Oldham decided to float as a public limited company and sold their training ground to the council in May 1987. Oldham won the 1988 Division 2 title and the Division 2 Premiership but lost £135,000. they would win the Premiership again in 1989-90. Peter Tunks took over a coaching role with Oldham. Tunks' brief was clear. He had to sell most of his first-team squad that had been relegated twice in 3 years, help to pay a tax bill of over £1 million and sign promising players from the junior ranks. He narrowly missed promotion in the first year and took the team to the grand final where they were narrowly beaten. Over the next 2 years he got promotion to the top level for all the Oldham teams whilst getting young players like Chris Joynt, Barry McDermott, David Bradbury, Gary Christie and Tommy Martin to international level, but due to the club's massive debts run up by the previous management, Tunks was forced to sell his best players. Bob Lindner took over as captain-coach. The club sold the dilapidated Watershedings in June 1994 for £1.25 million to pay off debts and moved to Oldham Athletics Boundary Park Stadium on the nearby Chadderton-Royton boundary. When a Rupert Murdoch-funded Super League competition was proposed, part of the deal was that some traditional clubs would merge. Oldham were supposed to merge with Salford to form a club to be known as Manchester, which would compete in Super League. When Salford visited Oldham for a match on Good Friday the 14th of April, supporters of both clubs demonstrated against the unpopular idea by invading the pitch during the interval. This merger was resisted and instead they adopted the name Oldham Bears and were founder members of the new league. Relegation came in the second year of the new summer season, 1997, when they finished below Paris Saint-Germain. Later that year, under chairman Jim Quinn, they went bankrupt with debts of £2 million. A new team, Oldham Roughyeds, was then formed in December to play at a lower level. The new club was created by Chris Hamilton and a band of 3 directors. The Roughyeds tag had been a long-accepted nickname for the old club. It is however generally accepted that the new club is a legal continuation of the old club formed in 1876. The millennium. Mike Ford retired as player-coach of Oldham in 2001 and in January the following year took up a post as defensive coordinator with the Irish Rugby Football Union. Oldham put Mark Knight in temporary charge of the first team. After a successful 2001 season, they narrowly missed out on promotion to the Super League, losing to Widnes 12-24 in the Northern Ford Premiership Grand Final. During the 2002 season they played at Ashton United's Hurst Cross Ground in Ashton-under-Lyne. Due to a dispute with Oldham Athletic over the use of Boundary Park, Steve Malloy took charge of the Roughyeds after former boss John Harben left to join Oldham Athletic as fitness conditioner and sports psychologist. In July 2002, under Malloy, Oldham won 7 and drew 2 of the last 14 games. In doing so, Oldham finished high enough to gain entry into National League One when the Northern Ford Premiership was split into 2. In the first season of National League One, 2003, Oldham reached the last 4 of the playoffs. Although they still made the playoffs for the next couple of seasons, trouble was waiting in the wings. Those troubles surfaced in March 2005. Oldham entered a creditors' voluntary agreement with total debts of £325,000. John Pendlebury resigned after 3 games as coach in March 2006 and was replaced by Steve Deacon. With very little money to spend and a poor squad, the team finished the 2006 season with only 1 league win and were relegated to National League Two. The season ended on a high note though, because the club paid its final payment of the CVA and would start the next season debt-free. The Roughyeds also announced that they would stay at Boundary Park for the 2007 season after reaching agreement on a sliding scale rent. 2007 new ownership. In 2007, a few games into the new season, the excavation and demolition firm, the William Quinn Group, acquired a 52% stake in the club. The stake was later increased to 75%. Bill Quinn became the club's new chairman, with previous owners Chris Hamilton and Sean Whitehead remaining as directors. On Friday, the 4th of May 2007, Oldham took part in the first ever National League Two match broadcast live on British television, on Sky Sports. They won 34-26 away to the Crusaders in Bridgend, having trailed by 20 points after 45 minutes. The match was considered a warm-up for the Millennium Magic weekend in Cardiff the following day, and, due to fans of Super League teams attending, attracted NL2's highest ever attendance of 3,441. That NL2 attendance record was broken in the return fixture on Thursday, the 30th of August 2007, between Oldham and Crusaders, again in front of the Sky Sports cameras, when 4,327 fans turned up at Boundary Park, beating the old record by 886. It was also Oldham's largest attendance since the early 90s. The event also raised around £8,000 for local charities and the Rugby League Players Benevolent Fund. Oldham finished the most successful season in recent years in 4th place on the National League Two table. They then played and won games against Swinton at home, then Barrow away in the play-off to reach the National League Two Grand Final. But the game seemed a step too far for Oldham, going down to an inspired Featherstone Rovers team at Headingley. 2008 season summary. Northern Rail Cup. Oldham enjoyed reasonable success in the Northern Rail Cup, achieving a win over National League One favourites, Salford at Boundary Park, to enable them to make it through the group stage of the competition into the knockout stages, where they faced and beat another National League One team in Whitehaven to progress to the quarter-finals against Batley at Mount Pleasant. In a seesaw battle, Oldham's challenge died thanks to a dubious referee call, followed up by a quick-fire Batley try. Challenge Cup. Oldham were the last non-Super League club to be knocked out of the 2008 Challenge Cup, going as far as the quarter-finals before being beaten by Wakefield Trinity at Bellevue. National League Two. Despite winning more games and losing less games than Barrow but only winning one bonus point all season, Oldham finished third in National League Two on points difference behind Barrow, who came second, and Gateshead, who won the league. Oldham would again have to face the route of the playoffs, and like the previous year, Oldham again reached the National League Two Grand Final, this time against Doncaster, and like 2007, Oldham again lost to miss out on promotion to National League One, losing 18-10 at Warrington's Halliwell Jones Stadium. As a result of not gaining promotion to National League One, coach Steve Deacon did not have his contract renewed. 2009 season summary. Tony Benson became head coach of Oldham. 2009 Championship 1. Oldham finished 4th in the 2009 Cooperative Championship 1 table with a record of the 7th of January 10. The Roughyeds won 31-26 at home to Swinton in the first round of the playoffs, before winning 54-30 at home to Hunslet. That set up a final eliminator against York, who finished third in the table, and the Roughyeds upset the hosts by winning 44-14 to reach the grand final again. But Oldham were beaten in the grand final for a third straight year, losing 28-26 to Keighley, who finished second in the table. Roughyeds were told they would no longer be able to use Oldham Athletics Boundary Park in November 2009. The club went to Oldham Council for help. Oldham Council bought Whitebank Stadium from Oldham Borough F.C. and then entered into a lease agreement with Oldham Roughyeds RLFC. The 2010 season saw a transition, with the 5 home games were played out of town at Sedgley Park, RLFC's Park Lane ground in Whitefield. Roughyeds' first game at Whitebank took place on the 9th of May 2010, with the opposition being York. This was the first time that Oldham had played in a ground within Oldham Borough since 1997. Home crowds are nearly double at Whitebank compared to Park Lane. Past coaches: Graham Starkey, Peter Smethurst, Frank Barrow, Dave Cox, Minu 1978, Frank Myler 1980–87, Eric Fitzsimmons 1988, Tony Barrow 1988–90, John Fieldhouse 1991, Peter Tunks 1993, Bob Lindner, Andy Goodway 1994–97, Matt Munro 1997, Mike Ford, -2001, John Harburn 2002, Steve Malloy, Steve Deacon 2007–08, Tony Benson 2008, Scott Naylor, 2016 squad, 2016 transfers, gains, losses, former players. Hall of Fame. There are currently 19 players included in the club's Hall of Fame. Fred Ashworth, Alan Davies, Mike Elliott, John Etty, Joe Ferguson, Terry Flanagan, Bernard Ganley, Alex Givens, Andrew Goodway, Herman Hilton, Bob Irving, Arthur Lee, Sid Little, Martin Murphy, Harry Ogden, Jack Reed, Frank Stirrup, Kevin Taylor, Derek Turner. Other notable players. These players have either received a testimonial match, are Hall of Fame inductees, played during Oldham Bears' 2 Super League seasons, were international representatives before or after their time at Oldham, or are notable outside of rugby league honours. Rugby Football League Championship 4 1904 05 1909 10 1910 11 1956 57. Challenge Cup 3 189899 1924 25 1926 27. Lancashire Cup 9 1907 08 1910 11 1913 14 1919 20 1924 25 1933 34 1956 57 1957 58 1958 59. Lancashire League 7 1897 98 1900 01 1907 08 1909 10 1921 22 1956 57 1957 58. Records. Attendance for a league match: 28,000 v Huddersfield, the 24th of February 1912 at Watershedings. Attendance in a cup match: 25,000 v Huddersfield, the 23rd of March 1912 at Watershedings. Record attendance: 62,217 v Hull, the 18th of May 1957. Championship final at Odsal Stadium, Bradford. Super League attendance record: 7,709 v Wigan, the 30th of March 1996 at Boundary Park. National League 2 attendance record: 4,327 v Celtic Crusaders, the 30th of August 2007 at Boundary Park. Biggest win: 67-6 v Liverpool City, the 4th of April 1959. Worst defeat: 0-84 v Widnes, the 25th of July 1999. Most season goals. Bernard Ganley 224 goals in season 1957-58. Most season tries. Reginald Reg Firrar 49 tries in season 1921-22. Most match points. Bernard Ganley 28 points v Liverpool City, April 1959. Source: Nappet Co. UK Sports Database. The Law Cup. The Law Cup is an annual match between Oldham and AMP Rochdale Hornets, first contested on 7 May 1921. Including the 2008 fixture, Oldham have won 36 to Rochdale Hornets 22 with 3 drawn games.